safely. They said, check the BOPs, check the well pressures, put additional inspectors on the rigs, look at the company's records, but don't shut down this activity. We're going to just import more oil from overseas on tankers coming from foreign countries. We're not doing anything in terms of reducing our consumption of energy. We're just making ourselves more dependent on other countries. And we're putting thousands of good-paying jobs at risk in the same communities that are fighting this oil spill. And I do worry. And you asked about, is there an agenda here? I do worry that in responding to this oil spill, that I hope that they're not. I hope there are folks in D.C. that are not trying to exploit this to try to drive away that offshore energy production. We know we can do it safely. We know it's important it's not only important for Louisiana's economy, it's important for our country to have reliable, affordable energy. And look, Sean, you and I both support alternative energy and efficiency and conservation, but we also know in the short term, wind and solar alone aren't going to power this country. We know we need oil and gas. We know we need domestic production. Let's do it safely. And here's the insulting thing. The president came down here and told our people, well, you can file a claim. If the moratorium impacts you, can file a claim with BP. And he said if they don't pay it, you can file for an unemployment check. And now there's been confusion. Every day there's a different story out of D.C. One day they say BP will pay. The next day they say they won't. They can't make up their minds. In the meantime, every single Louisianian tells me the same thing. They say, Governor, I don't want an unemployment check. I don't want a BP check. I want to go back to work. These are proud people. These are hardworking people. They're not looking for a government check. John, they want to go back to work. And so I hope that there's not an attempt to kill off this very important or to severely damage this very important industry. Because once these rigs go, they'll be gone for years. And I don't know that everybody in D.C. completely understands that.
There was a report that said they're beginning to shut them down and move workers overseas as of yesterday, Governor. And I'm not trying to bring bad news to you, but I want to go back to the court decision because I think we need to put emphasis on this. They said that the president's decision on this moratorium and to suspend drilling for 6 months was arbitrary and capricious. But more importantly, you highlighted this, is that this was the administration's own experts. And there was a purposeful distortion of what the experts said. They never said that they supported this moratorium.
Hey, can you believe a federal judge, I mean, anybody that hasn't just looked at this ruling, arbitrary and capricious, he said it was clear, when you read the ruling, it makes it clear, it looks like the Department of Interior didn't even listen to their own experts. Those experts, by the way, last week went and met with the Secretary of Interior in person to emphasize again. Now, Sean, this isn't a panel picked by the oil industry, by me as governor, by you, by Republicans. The Department of Interior picked this group. Their own experts told them you don't need a 6-month moratorium. And not only that, they appointed a commission. They're not even going to have their first meeting until next month. The chairman of the commission, one of the chairmen said, we may not even be done until next year. Forget 6 months. Where's the urgency here? I mean, you've got this commission now. They're not even meeting. There's no guarantee they're going to meet their 6-month deadline. If this was really about safety, there are only 2 deep water wells being drilled right now in the Gulf. Those 2 are being done by BP. If this was really all about safety, why in the world aren't they actually fixing the problems identified by their own experts? Bottom line is this: federal agencies, federal government's not doing its job. The result is thousands of Americans, thousands of Louisianians are going to lose their jobs, and that's not right. Federal government, they do need to provide proper oversight. They need to clean up. Now they changed the name. They need to clean up MMS, but they don't need to put thousands of people out of work. These are the same communities where the oil's putting the fishermen out of work. Same communities where we're losing we're losing our way of life, and they're going to put thousands of additional Louisianians out of work unnecessarily. And to add insult to injury, they tell us, go file a BP claim. If they don't pay it, go file an unemployment claim. We don't want an unemployment claim. We want to go back to work.
Well, I got a couple of quick questions, and I know you have to run here, but they're very, very crucial. Number one is the hurricane now that is headed towards Mexico, and I guess parts of Texas maybe even at some point here. But it's having great impact on the Gulf region, and that means that a lot of the oil, according to the AP report on this, is that the rough seas generated by Hurricane Alex is pushing more of the oil from the massive spill onto the Gulf Coast beaches. What do you know about that, and what impact do you think it's going to have?
Well, that's right, Alex, and that just shows you this is going to be an above-average hurricane season. Indeed, we don't normally get June storms. One meteorologist was telling us today this was the first June hurricane we've seen in the Gulf since something like 95, maybe only the second in the last 25 years. This will be a busier than average season. This wasn't even a direct hit. Alex is not projected to go near the well site, and even so, the waves, the swells are going to push that oil into into the wetlands, and it has caused them to have to stop to go out there from their aerial efforts, their skimmers. It's causing the waves to cause the oil to go over some of that boom. The boom's going to be less effective. The thunderstorms, the rain, the bands of rain that come with the hurricane are disrupting a lot of the cleanup efforts on the shoreline. And so, two things. One, it shows you even an indirect hit from a storm, how much damage that can cause. But secondly, it also shows you why it was so important if they had allowed us early on to go ahead and build the sand berms, if they had gotten out of the way and we'd done these rock jetties. The whole point, if you look at Louisiana's coast, we have over 7,000 miles of tidal shoreline. Our whole strategy is to fight this oil before it gets in the Barataria Bay, Breton Sound, Timberlake Bay, before it gets in Lake Pontchartrain or the Chapelai Basin. We want to, and especially those first three basins, that's where most of the oil has been threatening over the last several weeks. If we can fight this oil on the outer perimeter, our barrier islands, it's more efficient, it's more effective, it makes more sense. The rock jetties, the sand berms, they could have been out there. Even when the boats can't be out there because of the swells, those rock jetties, those sand berms can be out
Governor,
there.
I'm running out of time, and I got to get in this question. Bill Clinton actually suggested that the only way we're going to stop the oil from continuing to leak is to blow up the well. We had a guy on yesterday, Matt Simmons, founder of an energy investment bank, was talking about the only thing that's going to stop this is if we nuke this well. Have you discussed these possibilities?
The federal government has maintained control of it's in federal waters, the well site out there. We are obviously, we have some input as the oil gets closer to our coast. Our bottom line is they need to look at any and every. I know a lot of people have flooded them with ideas about what they could be doing out there. They've thrown mud at it, they've thrown golf balls at it, they've put a containment cap about it. So on top of it, certainly I think they should be looking at any credible idea that any expert has. I'll be honest with you, Sean, they don't. They give us briefings. They don't really consult with us on what they're doing out at the well site, out in the federal waters. They at least try. They at least talk to us about the cleanup efforts closer to our coast. They don't always listen to us. Somebody asked me about this, about the communications with the White House and the federal government. We talk plenty, but it's not talk. We need action. So when they talk to us, really the focus is more on our coast and the oil as it gets closer to our coast. And I wish they'd be doing more listening and not just talking. It's action.
I really appreciate you being with us. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean Hannity.